Yesterday was the regular monthly meeting of your Golden Rain Foundation Board, and we're joined by Mr. Lloyd Foster, GRF President, to talk with us about yesterday's meeting. Sort of getting in the swing now. The year is moving along, and they say the reality of death and taxes. The reality here in Laguna Woods Village is next year's budget and board elections. And actually, they've already contacted us from the second floor to schedule the dates of those here on Channel 6.
Yep.
So, a lot's going on the ongoing basis here, but new things happen and things get changed and moved around as well. One thing that's happened with your administration this year is you've eliminated some committees, you've condensed some committees, and you've renamed and repurposed some of the committees. How's that working out so far?
So far, it seems to be working very well. We haven't had any real serious complaints, and the committees are functioning like we hoped they would.
Good.
With their expanded
responsibilities. We'll talk about some of their new responsibilities along the way today. One thing that was incorporated into your meeting yesterday was the report from Marcia Wilson. She, in the past, had reported to a committee, and this allows her to report to the full board and talk a bit more about social services, kind of the silent, unsung heroes of this community. They do a lot of good work down there, but they don't publicize it a lot because of confidentiality issues and all that. But in general terms, she can talk about what programs they have going on.
She used to report to the monthly GPRC committee, which is Government Public Relations Committee. That was one of the committees that we dissolved and split up their responsibilities to other committees. She now reports to Security and Community Access Committee on a quarterly basis. And we thought it was time. We've had Marcia before the board before, and we thought it was time that they got a lot more exposure because they do an excellent job in the community. And they're tied to the Orange County Social Services Division, but oftentimes with county entities, you don't get an immediate response that you need to help somebody that needs.
Right, and one thing she pointed out is there's lots of referrals that take place from residents, say, concerned about a neighbor who may be having some challenges right now, or even within the staff here, security division or other divisions of this PCM may see a resident in a situation, they might say, this person might need to be called on and maybe followed up on, and that's where Marcia's department comes in.
Correct.
They do a good job there. Well, one of the newer facilities built a few years ago was Clubhouse 7, and of course a lot of people enjoy just the regular activities there. But one thing that you talked about yesterday was the bridge room, and we do have a lot of visitors and guests that come in, sometimes for just the bridge tournaments and sometimes as guests of a resident as well. Tightening up the policies a little bit on kind of accountability and who's here at any particular time.
Correct. It basically had to do with guests.
Right.
Now they have to sign in with a resident in attendance, and hopefully we can get a better handle on how many guests are actually coming in and using the facility. And we may change it again later. We don't know. It depends on the number of guests that are coming into any one particular facility. And of course that affects, the use and the wear and tear, and there's a lot that goes into it.
I know we've had a lot of discussions the last couple of years. Not only do we have folks coming in from the outside to play bridge, maybe guests of a friend here that lives here at the golf course, taking some of the classes in the Emeritus program. We've got that big tournament, that big tennis tournament coming up in a couple of months, and people will be coming from all over the country to participate in that. So while sometimes it's maybe an inconvenience a little bit for our residents, it also serves as a marketing tool for people to learn more about this community. And they might say, hey, maybe in a few years when I'm ready to retire, I might move down here as well. So brings in some new neighbors as well. We talked about the things that happen every year, and one of those are the board elections. You already started a discussion on the GRF elections coming up this fall.
Yes.
Inspectors.
Yes. We did nominate and approve the inspectors of election. According to our bylaws, that has to be done, at the first of the year. And we did that yesterday, and it'll be the same group that we've used for the last 2 or 3 years. They're an independent group. They have nothing to do with the election other than to be the overseers of it, to make sure that the ballots are correct and the candidates are correct on the ballot, and they oversee the voting of it.
One thing that came up as part of the discussion yesterday was the concept of maybe having Golden Rain directors run to represent geographical areas. Someone would be the candidate from Gate 1, someone from the Gate 14,
Right.
whatever it might be. While that may have some merit, it didn't seem to make
Well,
everybody happy.
No, and it's something new, and new things are not always accepted readily here in the community. But it was a thought that we had a few months ago that we took before the mutual members at a corporate members meeting. And at that meeting, we had it broken down into 11 districts with approximately 1,000 manners in each district. And we thought that perhaps that would give us a more even representation throughout the community. But the corporate members didn't seem to be too receptive of it. And of course, they're the ones that vote on the GRF bylaw changes. And it was dropped, and now it's kind of surfaced again. Instead of maybe districts, maybe we do it at large, where the residents would elect directors at large. Just like your city or county elections.
I know we have that, for example, locally in the South Orange County Community College District, in that the members of their board of trustees represent geographic areas, maybe Tustin or Irvine, Laguna Hills.
Those are large.
Mission Viejo. But everybody in the district votes.
Yes.
So someone living in Tustin is in fact going to vote on the trustee that represents Laguna Woods, for example. So it's an interesting way, but they break it up geographically as well. Speaking of possible changes, another possible change would be maybe some changes in the investment policy. And you had a presentation on that as well. That came up at the Finance Committee meeting a few days ago. By law and by practice, the board tends to be pretty conservative, invest mostly in U.S. Treasury-backed securities. Possibility has come up of maybe expanding that to maybe some conservative corporate bonds or corporate bond funds. And I guess discussions going on with BlackRock and Merrill Lynch to maybe see what that might bring.
We're looking into the possibility of investing in other things other than our treasuries, such as AAA municipal bonds or something of that nature. We're in discussions with our finance people, Merrill Lynch and BlackRock, and we're looking at that possibility. It's not cast in stone yet. We're also looking at the possibility of the interest that we earn on those accounts, that we reinvest that interest. Now it's transferred into our budget.
Right. So again, that's a proposal for the future as well.
And the Finance Committee will be handling that.
Sounds like Mr. Murphy was doing quite a bit of study on that. He and his committee are doing quite a bit of work with some staff backed up and looking into all those options as well.
Right.
You mentioned that sometimes changes take some time to get public approval and get going on in this community. And over the past, we've always had some interesting proposals made in the transportation system.
Correct.
We do have some changes that came in a couple of years ago for the morning and late afternoon and weekend hours. That seems to be working out pretty well. A proposal has now come up for what they're calling a dual hub bus system. Currently, Clubhouse 1 is the hub. It would remain one of the hubs, the other hub being the towers. And those discussions are continuing, and the board, again, is evaluating all those things.
That's right. We had a presentation from the Transportation Department yesterday, along with our Mobility and Vehicle Committee, where it originated. And there's a lot of apprehension on it because it is a change, but we're going to try it for 6 months and see what happens. The object is to reduce the number of buses, but at the same time, not sacrifice any service level, and hopefully we can make our transportation system much more efficient.
Right. It was interesting. We're all sort of getting over the ongoing increase in the cost of fuel these days. If you've gassed up your car the last few weeks, you've seen it go up and up and up, even several cents each week. It was pointed out yesterday by Mr. Hammer, who chairs that committee. The new buses now get a whopping 7 miles per gallon, which made us all laugh, but I guess that compares to 4 that the old buses
Right.
got. So it's an improvement and a little bit of savings along the way. And again, that's going to be part of that budget process you're entering into right now, trying to guesstimate what the cost of diesel fuel is going to be in 2013. And I guess we rub the crystal ball and whatever else we do to try and figure out where that's going to go. The folks at the stables, the Saddle Club, always enjoy that facility, and we have a lot of residents who board their horses there along with the community-owned horses. Proposal was made to add a new facility up there, what they call a tack room, a place for those individuals to store their bridles and saddles and accoutrement for their horses. And that's going to be part of another project that's a tie-in with some electrical work as well up there.
Well, we're remodeling the restrooms up there, and they will be AD compliant. And while we're doing that work, we're going to run some electricity over to this additional tack room.
Which is basically a shed.
Yes, it is. It's like a large storage shed.
Right. It's not a fancy suite of offices or anything like that.
No.
Place for them to hang their bridles and
Not
saddles
at
and
all.
all that. Well, speaking of projects, I know in the past years we've seen that the Clubhouse 7 get built, the Village Greens get built last year. A project that's been in the discussion stage for a number of years is Clubhouse 2.
Right.
And there's been every proposal in the world from just give it a coat of paint to bring in a bulldozer and level it. You're taking a more moderate mid-course on that with some remodeling at Clubhouse 2.
We're going to do some major refurbishment over there. The big change will be the restrooms. They will be made larger and ADA compliant, which is a requirement. We have no choice there. We'll be redoing the kitchen to make it more of a restaurant-style layout where we can serve more people faster. And then, of course, there'll be the normal paint and window decor and stuff like that.
Right. That's our second oldest clubhouse, so obviously it's in need of some little touch-ups along the way. And of course, again, they try and minimize the inconvenience, but some of your groups and organizations that meet at Clubhouse 2 might find yourself rescheduled the next few months. Another project that's on discussion, of course, is the redo in this building as well.
Yes.
And a variety of things on a long list of items that are looking at as well. So again, people will see some construction in this building during the next year as well. Final comments? We're wrapping it up for this segment. Any final comments you'd like to make?
Like we said earlier, we're starting the budget process. If the people would like to participate in that, we encourage you to go to the committee meetings because that's where it begins, and you can have input on a much more informal basis than coming to the board meeting.
Right.
We ask that you don't bring your personal problems to the board meeting because there's nothing we can help you with. For two reasons. One, the new laws about posting of items and items that you can discuss and that, but the committee is the best place to go to get your issues resolved.
And a good place to be part of that budget process as well. And that process gears up. We will keep you folks posted on those meetings as well. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you on the program today. If you missed that Golden Ray meeting, you can catch a replay tomorrow, Thursday, at 1:30 here on Channel 6, and again next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. We'll be right back with more right after this.